back. It's Pamela and myself for a little bit of bladder and kidney and your liver and gallbladder work today. Both of these run the length of the body. So today we're going to start working into some lunges and some hip work. And we're going to get right to it. These 20 minutes fly by. So snail. The other version of this in your sort of vinyasa or Iyengar practice would be translated to head to knee pose. So you're going to take a supine position, so on your back. And as though you were going to set up for happy baby, you're going to reach maybe to wrap your peace fingers around your big toes, or you can grab your feet, your ankles, backs of thighs, or better yet, backs of calves. You're going to let yourself kind of rock towards the shoulders. Just like as you set up in Viparita Karani, there's a point where if you take a block underneath your glutes or your sacrum, you feel like there's a little less work to keep your legs lifted. So that's what we're looking for here. Almost as though you're coming into Viparita Karani, which is something we take out of shoulder stand and halasana, except for instead of being on the tops of the shoulders, you're very much on the back side still. So somewhere between your mid-back and through the shoulders, you're going to find there's a point A that feels a little easier in terms of keeping your feet up, and two, something that might just feel a little bit better. It might feel better to rock and roll a couple times, right? But you're just letting sensation invite you into the body. Not forgetting to breathe. And starting to plant these little seeds, curiosities, if you will. We had spoken over the last couple of classes about the liver and the kidney. Both of those items are associated with fear and anger, but today we're going to shift focus to things like wisdom and kindness. Those are the pieces of those meridians that appear when we're balanced. So that's what we're really looking for. Kindness for ourselves, these bodies, our emotions, our experiences, as much as we tend to afford other people in our lives, especially those we care for. So we're going to take another 10 breaths or so here. Make sure you can fill up the lungs, expand the rib cage. If that means you're rocking and rolling a little out of this little snail pose, then privileged breath first, right? You can rock and roll as needed, but really start to breathe fully. Maybe you shift your focus, breathing into kindness, kind of softening up, breathing into the posture. Exhale, kind of release anything you're holding, particularly anger or fear. For 2. Softening your jaw and your brow, anywhere else you tend to carry your tension. And then we're going to kind of gently rock back towards tucking the knees. It might feel good to rock and roll a couple of times. And we're going to rock right up into your squat. So if you cross your legs, come through tabletop, all of that jazz, perfect. However you get there, it's pretty much your malasana squat. But instead of forcing the knees out, whether from the elbows or activity in the hips, it's all about gravity. So hip sink. If this bothers your knees a little or the hip hinge a little, you can always place something underneath your bum so you're not sinking so far, or so you don't have to hold yourself forward so much. But letting your torso drop through the thighs might help you with that, at least in terms of feeling as though you're going over backwards. The yin version of this is a little bit of activity in the legs to support you finding more ease through the torso. So often pictures of yin postures you see, they are melted almost near the floor. It's not really going to happen for me, certainly, for most of us, just given the last 4 months, especially if you have a computer job or you sit all day, drive all day, chase kids all day, it really doesn't matter. It might take a minute or two to kind of get nestled in here. So similar to your snail pose, cueing yourself really to breathe fully. Often it's harder to hold on to things like frustration and agitation, fear, anger if we're soft in the body. Soft shoulders, soft jaws, soft facial muscles. And so maybe you start there. Maybe you don't go directly towards whatever has kind of got you agitated or a little out of sorts. Remember, the focus today is really on finding kindness for ourselves, our bodies. Tapping into those third eyes, which is a point of intuition. It's actually your sixth chakra as well, by the way. Most of you would remember that. And it's just kind of turning away from external sources, right? We consult all kinds of things all day. Social media, the news, other people, endless amounts of information. But today you really want to turn inward, pratyahara. Right? Listen to your body. Information that comes from your body might not come with words, but you're still directly connected to it. So just turning your mind inward, even if you're just following the breath, following sensation, sinking into your feet to meet the mat, whatever it is. You can take 3 generous breaths here. And then as you begin to ease your way up through Malasana, some gentle activation in the hips, just enough to move yourself towards lunge. So as you maybe come towards knees, you're going to draw your right foot forward. And again, it's all about sinking. Find a place of comfort for starters. Back knee gently comes down. Front knee might start to peel out a little bit. Not worrying about too much here. Normally in a regular vinyasa class, we're squeezing into the glutes to facilitate a little bit of stretch, some co-activation. We're squeezing into the quads on occasion to invite that same stretch through hip flexors. Here, we're just pausing until you can kind of melt in and release any holding in the muscles. And invite you maybe to come onto forearms. Maybe it takes peeling your right hand to the sky for a few breaths. But it's going to show up a little bit differently in each of our bodies, so feeling your way through this. Right, as we introduce a little bit of activity into the body to hold these postures, maybe you're transitioning to find some of that soothing quality, right? Soft shoulders, soft jaws, more into your breath. So starting to lengthen your exhales. Maybe they have a little bit of that ujjayi quality that, I'm exaggerating, but you get the gist. It might have more of a scrubbing kind of quality depending on the amount of blick going on in your joints or your day or your mind. Maybe it's more steady, soft. But as much as we're exploring working into this physical lunge posture, it's an invitation to do the same in the breath. So where's that lightness? Where's the release? Where's the space that allows you to find that little bit of kindness for the body? 8, 7. Maybe you're starting to melt in and there's room to reach for the back knee, to work a little deeper into the twist. Or maybe there's room to drop the weight of your head. Less work for your neck and shoulders, supporting all several pounds of that noggin of yours. Really looking to drain your body of as much stress and tension as you can. For 3, drain your brain. 2, and work mindfully to find the palms. Bring that front knee over the ankle. Whether you step back towards tabletop or you need a little three-legged dog or anything in between, otherwise coming right into the other side. Again, the bits and goodies on the in-between are all up to your body, so listen right, intuition. We call that wisdom. Which is a little bit beyond intelligence. Intelligence we describe in yoga as sort of being able to make these logical decisions. Not every day, not all the time, right? But when we are conscious, when we're in mindful movement, in awareness, you can weigh those decisions based on past experiences, the knowledge you're collecting in the moment, and try to make a best decision. But intuition, your wisdom goes a little bit beyond that. It's sort of that internal knowing, right? That gut sensation. It's nothing you had to think about, you just know it. It's this higher intelligence known as wisdom. So maybe you're bringing your mind to focus on your third eye. Maybe you're starting to invite these little holds between the inhales and exhales, right? Pranayama, some of you are familiar with, is translated to breath control, not just breathing, but control of your breath, which is what allows you to tap into that parasympathetic nervous system. And often, if we're anxious or nervous, that affects our breath. Yoga kind of turns that on its head. Pranayama does anyways. You're controlling the breath and sort of maybe not subduing, but slightly controlling things like anxiety, stress, nervousness, whatever it is. Again, breathing in kindness, gratitude, maybe holding on to that just a moment to soak it up. Exhale, starting to surrender, to release. Maybe pausing at the very bottom in that space before we take the next breath in. 5, 4. Again, softness in the muscles. We're not stretching muscles, we're starting to stretch connective tissue, fascia, tendons, ligaments, right? Ligaments, not so much, just the tiniest bit. If you go past 6% of a stretch on a ligament, they tear. That's not what we're looking for. So we're not trying to force our way in here. Tendons are supposed to be elastic, sort of like a rubber band, and they do get tight. So again, just gravity, just allowance, releasing stress in the body. And then as you slowly start to find your palms, working your way back to neutral, front knee comes back over the ankle. And I'll work towards square pose. It's basically your double pigeon, a much more forgiving version. So you want to take a couple of blocks. Sometimes a bolster is nice, but it's going to sink in, so it might not provide you as much support. You want to basically crisscross the legs. In a regular double pigeon rather, so you're going to bring your ankle right over the knee, Pamela, once you figure out how many blocks. So sliding yeah. So obviously we look at yin pictures of people looking very flexible. Maybe if you've practiced yin or you're flexible, boom, you're right into it. If you are like me, I am nowhere near even this flexible in this posture. You might be a little more reclined. You could opt to do this on the side of your couch, right? The arm of the couch. You might need a chair or a stool or many more blocks, but be a little bit forgiving with yourself here. If you can slide your heels out a little wider so that your ankle, that right ankle, Pamela, is going to come a little over. Yeah. She's like, if I was just still enough, you wouldn't notice. Right, normally in vinyasa or ashtanga, Iyengar, hatha, all of the other variations, more active practices in yoga, we're tilting the tailbone, we're lengthening the spine, we're flexing toes. All these engagements in this yin variation, it's still very much gravity. So I personally wouldn't be folding over too far, maybe at best upright. But if you have the ability in your own body to kind of relax over the thighs, maybe just resting your forearms on the thighs, allowing you a little bit of ease in the jaw, the shoulders, the breath. If it kind of forces you off your blocks, just find that neutral space. But I invite you maybe just to settle your gaze and move your mind to your feet. Feel your big toe, feel that little second toe, your middle toes, and we're going to take our thumbs. Today's point is your liver 2. So in between the webbing of your toes, not right at the top of the webbing, but go a little deeper, you can feel where your metatarsals at those big toe knuckles there start to split or spread, right? Not the bones themselves, but both separate bones. About a half thumb's width distance, maybe it's a centimeter in from the top of the webbing, and you're going to press. It might be a little, feels like closer to the second toe metatarsal or somewhere in the middle, and you can kind of rub a little up and down or maybe a little left and right. You're going to find that point gently. We're going to hold this and start to release a little bit of fire. Excess fire from the body, excess fire from your liver. You want to think, right, anger, frustration, or those heated emotions. Just holding gently, about 12 breaths. Maybe it's just enough to keep our minds gently occupied, to stay in the body, to soften your glutes, to let the weight of your knees fall. And we're breathing, soothing breath, maybe even cooling breath while you're releasing this fire. Cooling version of pranayama is to curl your tongue like you're going to make a straw. Do these really long, slow breaths, and you're going to notice the breath feels a little cooler on the way in. And it's a regular exhale, ujjayi, through the nose on the breath out. Maybe just a couple cycles, 5, 4. Whole lot of allowance here, letting these poses work on you, these acupressure points work on you, your breath work on you. And we're just working on sitting in the body, being present. Maybe the biggest gift of this practice. It's less about whatever it is we're doing. Some days the biggest relief is just being focused in the moment and not drawn in 47 different directions. And so as you gently release your tongue and your toes and sit up gently, nice and tall, we'll unravel the legs and we'll start to rewrap them on the other side. Yeah, taking your time again, focusing on balance. If that's too sort of out there in the clouds, maybe just concretely letting your body reduce the stress, right? Let your body be able to work more efficiently, trying to get out of our way in terms of releasing any holding in the glutes, in the shoulders, in the breath, trying to smooth everything out. Once you're nestled in here, again, we'll do about another minute or so on the acupressure point and the webbing right between the big toe, little toe. It might start to feel a little itchy. And you know you got the right spot. You might want to feel like you want to dig in a little massage between the next set of toes, etc. Go for it. You might feel a little itch stretch coming through the top of your foot. You might feel it elsewhere in the body, so just pay a little bit of attention. Letting your mind follow sensation. Right? These little points here not only drain fire, according to Chinese medicine, maybe meditation too. But what does that mean? Heat from the body, so cooling the liver meridian, but also helpful for insomnia, headaches, anger, frustration. So anytime you feel you need a little bit of this liver 2 love, go for it. And just as we're taking sort of a more passive approach with the hips, the same with this spot. Sometimes we find something that feels good. We want to exaggerate it. That's definitely not what we're doing. The sort of principles of acupressure and yin, for good reason, is that we kind of hold this space for roughly 3 to 5 minutes. So more is not more. Just see if you can sit with what is. Another 5 breaths. Might feel good to close the eyes, to soften the tongue, to take a deeper breath in. Right, this practice of yoga, of meditation, of any of the sort of ancillary sort of offshoots of these practices, overall wellness, it's not about the actual thing, right? Meditation, physical yoga postures isn't about doing the thing perfectly. It's about coming back again and again as maybe our mind wanders off or we fall out of a pose. So that we do that a little easier in our day. That's it. So no stress, no judgment. Slowly start to release the toes. Slowly start to release your square pose. And we're going to come onto your back for a little bit of Shavasana with Sanmukhi Mudra. So still a little bit of acupressure, but this time using gently your face. I invite you to take your blocks, bolsters, parts of your couch underneath your calves for a very gentle inversion. It's also a little bit soothing on the low back that may have been a little bit aggravated from some of the squatting and the folding in square pose. Allow you to release a little deeper up into the mid-back and shoulders. You're going to take your middle fingers and gently press your eyes closed at the bridge of your nose. Fingers start to naturally fall around your face. Middle fingers towards the nostrils, the bottom of your nose, pinkies towards your corners of your lips, pointers wherever they fall on the brow. And as you start to drop the shoulders and weight of your elbows, maybe just 10 or 12 breaths to shut out the world for a moment, right? To turn inward fully. Press your thumbs into your ears. So as you gently release Sanmukhi Mudra and let yourself settle a little deeper into your Shavasana, if you have room to stay, stay. Maybe for a few moments or minutes, but just pausing again to refocus the mind gently on kindness, on balance, on that inner wisdom, your intuition. It's nice to focus on all the things that show up in our body. But as many different sayings go, what we tend to give our attention to, what we tend to focus on is what shows up in our life. So today being a little more specific about focusing on balance, that inner intelligence and the kindness that we give others, except for today turning that inward to give the same love and compassion to ourselves. So get a good breath in, better breath out, with an invitation to take this with you for the rest of your day. We'll say goodbye for now, but we'll see you tomorrow. Toodles.